It's Backfire.
Hey, Cleveland. Welcome to another edition of Backfire. Woo! All right.
Well, now.
Let's calm down now.
Daniel's feeling a little froggy this morning, didn't he?
He's been looking forward to this all morning.
Well, John Stanberry, Franklin Chanty, and, of course, myself, Steve Doball Hickson, and our frogman, Daniel Brantley. All right. Where do we start with such a good week in the news? Where would you like to start? You want to start with tax in Tennessee?
You can.
Well, it looks like we're going to get a new gas tax, doesn't it?
That's what it looks like.
It got out of committee, so it looks like the proposal is in current form. If it doesn't get amended, is 6 cents increased over a 3-year period, and 10 cents on the diesel tax over a 3-year period.
But now it's paired with a concurrent decrease in the sales tax.
That's correct.
1 cent. We're going to reduce 1 cent in sales tax on food.
The idea
Groceries,
is
I think,
that it should be revenue neutral, which makes me not understand if it's revenue neutral. Why don't you just take some of the sales tax money and put it to the roads?
Well, what they're trying to, I think what's going to happen here is with the increase, the cost of groceries in the stores is going to go up because
it will.
Okay. So they're going to lower the tax in the grocery store 1 cent to help offset that. Is that correct? Is that what they're thinking is?
Well, I think these may be two separate tracks. They've been trying to get the sales tax down as low as they can get it on food, because food is a supplement people have to have, and those kind of taxes are more regressive on people that have tougher income streams.
How did we get taxed on food, on groceries?
Because we have a sales
tax on everything.
Everything.
A lot of states don't have it on their groceries.
Actually,
most states don't have as high a sales tax as we have, because that's our primary funding source.
I thought some states limited.
They do.
Groceries.
They do, and that's one of the areas we've kind of moved. I will say this, though, in most of your historical recessions, states that had sales tax revenue rebounded from recessions faster than states that relied on income taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually been a good tax for our state.
Did you record that, Daniel? He said good tax.
Well, I mean, as far as taxes go, if you have to fund some
I could
government.
just clip that out. I could find all kinds of.
We're going to go back and crop that out of it and do an ad.
I've never advocated for no government or no taxes, but I still have the same problems with this. One of the reasons we were in trouble with our road fund is because we weren't honest with the public about the road fund. We rated it. I might point out Democrat governors did that. We rated the road fund. We got it too low. And now we're having to repair that. Now, what bothers me is, are we going to be straightforward and honest about this? Is all of this money going to stay in that fund, and is it going to go for roads? And we never got to the argument that we had about what's a road. Is a walking path a road? Is that a first priority use of that money?
The last I heard, at least, there was an amendment that had been passed that restricted it to the government's ability to raid the fund, if you will,
Good.
As you were criticizing. I don't know if that's still in the bill or not, but that's what they were reporting a week or so ago.
But we still, like I said, we still haven't addressed, though, this idea of how do we prioritize the spending of this money.
Well, I'd like to have seen a list of what they planned on doing with it in the next 10 years.
Well, they can't give you that.
Well, they give you a 5-year plan of what they're planning. 10-year, can't they?
Yeah, but even those lists, they're lists, and then they pick and choose from the list who gets what. I can tell you right now.
What projects are?
Well, let me give you a perfect example. When Dwayne Bunch was in the legislature, Jimmy Nafee absolutely hated Dwayne Bunch, because Dwayne was an effective opponent. He was an effective Republican. That's why Exit 20 down there didn't get any work, didn't get any appropriations. We've for years talked about Harrison Pike and being able to actually put an exit there and tie that into Dalton Pike, which would actually make some sense, because Dalton Pike has been upgraded to the Tennessee line. It's now been upgraded into the backside of Cleveland, but it comes right down the middle of Inman Street. It would have probably helped the downtown area as well. Jimmy Nafee hated Dwayne, hated that this was a Republican county, and so we didn't get any money.
We'll have to get Dwayne in here to defend himself, Joe.
It's not. No, Dwayne wouldn't do anything wrong. Dwayne was doing what the people of Bradley County elected him to do. My point is, partisan politics affected where the money was spent, not necessarily where it was most needed or most useful. And that probably is a universal thing since the beginning of time. But it'd be nice if we could limit it as much as possible.
Anyway, we're going to get a tax, it looks like, on our gasoline. So gasoline prices are going to be going up a little bit.
Yep.
So if you got any storage tanks, buy now. Right?
I guess.
Storage tanks.
I'd say that's
If you're a prepper.
a small
If
number.
you're a prepper, now's your shot.
Well, plus it degrades. You have to have stabilizers.
Oh, today it degrades really quick. You can't put a tank in a lawnmower and go back next time to mow, and it'd still be good, it seems like, anymore.
That's true.
Oh, my goodness. These little saws and weed eaters and stuff, they're having terrible times with
Well, that's because of the ethanol that the government forces us to put in the gas, which actually costs us, ethanol gas, when it first came out, it was cheaper, and everybody went, oh, it's cheaper. The only reason it was cheaper is because there was a 50-cent premium that the tax subsidies gave them, the government gave them.
Yeah.
So you were paying actually 50 cents per gallon more for the ethanol. You just didn't see it. They hid it through taxes. And it tore your engines up and degraded the length of useful service of your equipment. I guess if you want to look at it that way.
Oh, we're going to have clean air, I guess, cleaner air. Planned
Actually,
Parenthood.
ethanol is dirtier and actually hurt the environment as well.
It's a lot dirtier.
But guess
it
what?
makes the inside of your combustion engines rust.
Franklin might agree with this. This is part of the problem of crony capitalism. You've got an ethanol industry out there. You've got a corn industry. Some of them are farmers. Some of them are the processors. They like the subsidy because it props up their business. Now, that's the corporate welfare that the Democrats talk about, and I tend to agree with them on that. I don't want the government involved in anything they don't have to be.
Planned Parenthood videos, anti-abortion activists charged with 15 felonies for secret tapes. Now, this is the ones that did the filming back during the Planned Parenthood days, and they showed all the things that was going wrong at Planned Parenthood. Now then, California prosecutors announced Tuesday, two of the abortion activists who made undercover videos of themselves trying to buy fetal tissue from Planned Parenthood were charged with 15 felonies.
Are they charging every other journalist who's ever done an undercover video report in California with that?
Was it just over the making the video or manipulating the videos?
No, it's not over manipulating.
They didn't get permission from the other people.
It's the filming. So my question is, California is probably one of the most populous states. All kinds of stories are done in California every single day. I know there's been lots of undercover video stories done in California. Are they suing everyone that did an undercover video, or prosecuting everyone that did an undercover video, or just these people?
Just these people.
Well, that's because apparently murdering unborn children is a sacred right to the Democrat Party.
Planned Parenthood sent a tweet out. Everybody's doing tweets, by the way, these days. That said,
it seems to be fashionable.
The charges send a clear message. You can't target women and healthcare providers without consequences.
You mean like they were found not telling women all of the risks of an abortion procedure? Or not telling women how they dispose of them down a grinder drain? Not telling them that? Is that part of the hiding and fooling women?
I don't know, but I thought those videos actually unveiled a lot of...
They did. They actually unveiled crimes, which they're not prosecuting that. They actually unveiled that they had agreements to sell fetal tissue, which is a federal crime, and they're not prosecuting that.
There's a saying that goes along with this thing. It's not in this article. Sometimes the truth hurts.
Yes, it does. I'd have to agree with that statement.
Oh, golly. Are you?
Well, look, now keep in mind, this is California. This is the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court just gave a speech where she said that the rule of law is being challenged because the Trump administration is trying to enforce federal immigration law. Now, she's the Chief Supreme Court Justice, and her definition of challenging the rule of law is enforcing federal law. So that tells you the state of the judiciary in California.
That's California. We need to go ahead and just let them be their own.
Well, they've been talking about it.
I wish they would. Take New York and go in there with them. The bathroom bill is now they're predicting it's going to cost North Carolina $3.76 billion over the next dozen years. And you know, I don't know why it's going to cost them.
Because the progressive left is going to punish them. That's what that cost calculator is. It's people like the NBA and the NFL saying we're going to pull our championships out of your state over this. So this is basically
and Apple and Google
it
and
is.
tons of
He's
other
right.
companies.
I'm not arguing with him, but what it is it's progressive blackmail. Is what that is. You don't do what we want. We don't believe in democracy. We believe in tyranny. And this is our opinion. And if you go against our opinion, we're going to punish you. And that's what they're doing. They're punishing them. Now, never mind that the other cost to this are the children that are going to be traumatized and abused by this. We don't care about that. We don't care about the women who are made uncomfortable by this. We care about our progressive bona fides.
If you looked at the whole country of the United States in a rating of 1 to 10, how many people would this bathroom bill affect?
It's less than 0.5% of the population.
Why is the whole country changing the laws because of such a small group?
The whole country wasn't changing anything. The city of Charlotte changed it, and the legislators in the state of North Carolina decided that they were going to tell the city of Charlotte what they could do. And this is where this debate gets off the rails. You know, John says he's a small government guy, and the more local, the better. I think that's his philosophy generally. Okay? Mm-hmm. So this is a case where the folks in the state capital of in Raleigh over there decided they were going to tell Charlotte what they could do.
By the way, this is not in Charlotte, just in Charlotte. This law is in dozens of states.
No, that's what happened in this particular case.
Right,
though.
but it's been done in lots of other states,
They passed a bill
too.
only because Charlotte decided they wanted
Here's
it.
the problem. Well, I tell you what, Franklin, since you're not worried about any of this, you mentioned Apple. Apple does business in about 17 countries, 5 of which execute homosexuals.
Okay.
Now, Apple said, we're going to pull out of North Carolina over this bill. Are they pulling out of the countries that are actually executing homosexuals? Do you see any hypocrisy there?
What I think.
Do you see any hypocrisy?
What I think.
Do you see any hypocrisy?
Do I get to answer your question?
If you'll answer if you see hypocrisy there.
What I think, John, is that all sorts of companies, liberal and conservative ones, exercise influence in the ways that they think they can.
So executing a homosexual is acceptable,
No, it's
but
not
telling
acceptable.
them they don't have the right to use
it's
the
not
opposite
acceptable, John.
bathroom is not.
Of course it's not
Well, then why aren't
acceptable.
they pulling out of the countries that execute them? Why haven't they even issued a statement about those countries?
Why are we even talking about bathrooms?
Because a small group of people want to break it off in the rest of us. They have an issue, and instead of them sacrificing and dealing with their issue, everyone else in the country has to bend and pay the price for their issue. By the way, here's an interesting, it's a liberal blogger, very progressive blogger. This is a woman, her name, Kristen Quintrall Levin of the Get Real Mom blog. Now, she labels herself very progressive. Well, she was in a bathroom, and this is from her. In walks a guy with a hairy chest and 9 or 10 size shoes and looks like a guy. Not even trying, she said. Doing absolutely nothing to make it look like he's a woman, and apparently that's her litmus test, that you have to at least try to look like a woman. She recounts in her blog that it seemed to make no difference to him that every woman in the restroom was openly staring at him in clear discomfort. She's now decided that there has to be some guidelines, that it can't just be a feeling. Now, that's the reality. I'd say I'm sure she supported this until this incident happened, and now she's having to rethink it a little bit.
Why? I mean, where did the bathroom bill come from? Where did it start?
It started because the transgender movement, in association with the gay and lesbian movement, has now decided that sex is not binary. That's a really neat term that they're using now. Sex is not binary. Here's the amazing thing for me. We can't find a single genetic marker for homosexuality. But the gay and lesbian movement will tell you that they're born that way and it's genetic. So we can't find any DNA marker for that, but they believe it exists. We can find an X and a Y chromosome that designates sex, and they say that doesn't matter. So genetic markers we can identify don't count. Genetic markers that we can't even find proof of, they do count. Explain the logic of that, Franklin.
I don't have to explain the logic of it.
Because it's not logical. Thank you.
Why can't we just go back? I mean, the bathrooms were fine. You know, if you had an
X and a Y chromosome, you use the men's bathroom.
You were being polite about what that. I was going to call it something else, but, you know, what are you looking at, Franklin? Franklin rolled his eyes when I said that. Anyway, I think we've got a call coming in. Let's take it real quick. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out.
Talk to me, caller.
Yeah.
You missed them, Daniel. Anyway, I don't even know how that phone was on right now.
Look, I'm not. Teenage years, it's very difficult, and I feel sorry for anybody that has any kind of problems. You know, we all have tough times going through high school, going through junior high. But there are consequences to these things that we do. And a lot, like this blogger, you know, this woman in her kind of abstract thought would say, oh, I think this is a good idea. They should have the freedom to do what makes them comfortable. But then she realized it made her uncomfortable.
Well, I've got to admit to something. The other day I was somewhere and I needed to go to the bathroom really, really bad. And the men's bathroom was locked. Someone was in there. And I waited and waited and waited and waited. And the men's bathroom just continued to be locked. And I really, really had to go bad. So there was a ladies' bathroom right next to it that was unlocked, door open. And finally I said, I can't wait any longer. I went into the ladies' bathroom and used the bathroom.
But did you lock the door behind you?
Yes, I did. I locked the door behind me. But when I came out of the bathroom, there was a lady sitting there with her arms crossed, leaning up against the wall. And when she saw me come out of that bathroom, I thought she was going to have a heart attack.
She clearly just knew that you were some sort of sexual deviant who was out to get her.
She almost said something to me. Almost said something to me. I mean, it was amazing. I walked off and I got to thinking about all these new bathroom laws.
Actually, that actually, Steve, probably illustrates the solution to this. If you were really looking to try and solve this and be fair to everyone, and it'll cost the schools a lot of money, but what they'll do is, if you were wanting to fix it, is you will build individual bathrooms with doors. And you won't have man or woman on any of them, and whoever needs to use will use the bathroom. The problem here is that's not good enough for the transgender community. They want to force you to allow them to dress and undress in front of you. The problem are the locker rooms. You're going to have individual locker rooms? There's a woman in California that her and her young daughter were in a health club, and a man came in the women's locker room, proceeded to undress with all of his stuff on display. And when she complained, the health place revoked her membership and kicked her out.
Oh, golly. Oh, let's, what do you want to talk about next? Franklin, I'll give you the next subject. What would you like to cover?
Well, are we going to discuss the health care bill?
Sure. Let's talk about the health care bill.
I'll let John go first.
All right, John, you go first.
Well, I've got way too much to go for. I mean, I'm okay with it failing. It was a bad bill. It was the wrong way to go, and I'm glad it failed. I think we will revisit it. I would steal a little bit from Charles Krauthammer that said, I think it comes back in the fall when you get the new numbers, the new premiums coming out. They're going to be much higher. There will be fewer choices. Far more insurers are going to be withdrawing from the exchanges, and they're going to be in a state of collapse.
5 separate Republican states this week, in the last 10 days actually, who had not done the Medicaid expansion, introduced legislation seeking to do the Medicaid expansion now. And these were bills being introduced by Republicans.
Well,
not
that's
Democrats.
fine. Republicans are just as capable of grabbing for the money. The problem is the money's being borrowed from China. I'm not being ugly, Franklin. Explain this to me. We're over $20 trillion in debt. We're having to borrow money from China. The Medicaid expansions, I understand the idea that it helps people. I understand that. But it loses money. When do we stop on this road of debt financing? When do we say we have to stop?
Well, first of all of the projections have showed that in terms of deficit impact, Obamacare was a net neutral on it.
That's
accurate.
Obamacare was a neutral on what?
A net neutral on it.
Over 80% of the people that got insurance through Obamacare are through the Medicaid. They pay nothing.
As you nobody likes to talk about it. It's not popular, but there were a whole series of taxes built into Obamacare.
Oh, I didn't think
we can't afford more taxes. We're the highest tax country in the world. We're right at the top. As far as industrialized nations, we are, Franklin.
You're talking about the corporate tax
We're
rate.
talking about everything.
No, you're not.
And guess what? Who pays the corporate tax? Who pays it?
Well, given that they're not paying nearly the percentage that's listed there
Who
because
pays
of all the
it?
deductions.
Who pays it?
Well, presumably
shareholders. Normal people with
Customers.
401ks, customers.
Sure.
We pay
That's
the
the
tax.
case with all taxes, John.
Our taxes are too high.
Okay. That's your theory.
You don't think they're high enough?
You don't think they're too high?
What I think is that they're at historically low levels on a personal income
They're at historically low levels
Okay.
for people like Joe Biden and Obama who paid less than Trump did.
No, they're at historically
Less than Trump did.
Oh, he's just hurting so bad. My goodness.
There you go. That's perfect.
Oh my goodness.
No, perfect. I'm glad you said that because that's what motivates Democrats. It's envy and jealousy.
It's not
right
envy,
there. No,
John.
you just said
It's
it.
a fact.
He's
It's a
hurting.
fact that
You're
the people at the
annoyed that
top.
Donald Trump is
It's
rich.
a fact that
You're
the people
annoyed that Donald Trump is rich and you're envious
what I
and
believe
jealous.
is the people at the top get the most benefit out of the government.
Yeah, take it away
That's what I
from
think.
them because I don't like them having it.
The most benefits.
Folks,
from it.
listen to this.
So I don't have a
It's
problem with them
enlightening.
paying
It's
more.
enlightening as to the thought process.
What I know is Ronald Reagan thought the tax rate was perfectly great at a higher level than it is now. And he said, I think that's about the appropriate level for our society.
JFK.
If we had done that, we actually wouldn't
first
have
off,
a
Franklin,
budget deficit.
We
now.
you're talking about the income taxes.
Yes, I am.
The problem is when you add them all up, we're over 50% tax rate. When you add state, local, property, income, investment income, we have tax upon tax upon tax. And then you people are so horrible, you even have the death tax. Thank you for the death of your loved one. Now give us half of everything that we didn't take when they were alive.
That tax, how'd that one ever get passed?
The Democrats wanted more money.
Actually, it got passed in the 1900s because there were these mega fortunes developing with whole generations of offspring who did absolutely nothing with their lives.
So what? See that?
And
Once
that
again,
it was bad
jealousy
for the
and
country.
envious. Jealousy and envy.
Okay.
Jealousy and envy.
Yeah.
So a tax was born to get it.
Right.
Largely.
I want that. You
and by
have
the
it.
way, and by
I
the way,
want it.
and by the way, it wasn't just a Democratic tax.
You have it. I want it. That's what it is.
I love
Now,
capital.
those would be the same people that built the railroads, the same people that built the Industrial Revolution, that employed everybody. That would be the people that built those
Who
fortunes.
established the
The
trust.
Vanderbilts. The people that are responsible for the modern society we live in
That
today.
took a lot of risk.
Right. had nothing,
and
came from nothing.
Employed a lot of people.
Right.
And a lot of those mega fortunes totally support the estate tax, by the way.
They do now, Franklin, because those people, like you said, it doesn't hurt them. Barbara Streisand doesn't live any worse on $40 million than she would on $50 million. Those people are completely insulated from the impact of it. It's the 80% of the businesses that are small business owners. They're the people that get killed because the rules apply to them too. And they don't have millions to get by on.
There's a lot of people that can't afford to pay
I have
taxes.
people in my office every day that work harder than you can ever imagine. They own their own businesses, and guess what? They have no retirement. They have no health care. They have
they're
nothing.
almost entirely unaffected by the estate tax.
That is so crappy for you to say, because those are the people that pay all the bills, Franklin, and nobody worries about them at all. Nobody worries about a small business person.
About?
Franklin, small business people are eaten alive by the rules, regulations, and taxes.
The estate tax does not apply to almost all of those people.
When they die, if they
just tell the truth.
I am maybe you don't understand, Franklin.
Oh, I understand it completely. You're making it up.
Franklin, what I understand. Let's say you own a small engine repair company, and you work your whole life, and you build it up into a successful business. When you die, your son can't inherit it without paying the government 50% of what it's worth. Guess what? He doesn't have the cash for 50%. It's a successful business. It earns a living, but he doesn't have the cash to pay it. So what he does is he closes the business and sells it. It applies to, you know what? If it applies to one, it's too many. If it applies to one, it's too many.
It happens all the time with people
family farms,
who inherit farms and land.
Family farms.
Yeah, there are tons of family farms out there worth $10 million.
We have a large family farm in Cleveland that is being subdivided now because they couldn't pay the inheritance tax, or it was so high they had to subdivide it. We have farmland right now that would be still undeveloped. Beautiful farmland. And it's being subdivided to pay the inheritance tax.
Okay.
Capital gains tax.
Right.
I remember one time I built some apartments, and make a long story short, I made no money on these apartments. I struggled with those things for years, and finally got out of it. I paid out of my pocket.
And you had to pay tax on getting out.
And had to pay a capital gains on getting out of it.
Made nothing.
Lost.
And still owed the government money.
That's right. It was terrible. I mean, it was absolutely terrible.
And what happens with that, Franklin, is what Steve would tell another investor is don't do it. It stifles the economy. It stifles production. It stifles growth.
Okay.
Every time we've cut taxes, and your guys did it, JFK did it, the economy exploded.
Here we go again.
Well,
every single time.
JFK was on record as saying the best way to stimulate the economy is to cut taxes.
Every single time that happened, there was an accompanying boost of government spending.
Yes, and that was a mistake. It has nothing
Well,
to do.
that's also what boosted the economy.
No, it is not, Franklin.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you're arguing with JFK, the used to be one of the lions of your party.
I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm just telling you, if you take one piece of the plan, and you can't say, oh, that's what did it, and ignore the rest of it.
JFK said the best way to stimulate the economy is to cut taxes. That's your person, your hero of the party.
You know what?
What was the tax rate then, John? What was it?
Frankly, he didn't qualify.
Yeah,
he said when you cut taxes.
He didn't qualify. He didn't have to qualify.
The best way is to cut taxes.
What was the tax rate then?
It was high. It was way too high. Higher than it is now.
It was close to 80%.
Right. Guess what the tax rate was all through the 1800s? 0. Because it was unconstitutional. Your people had to change the Constitution in 1913 to allow an income tax.
We all wish it were the 1800s.
Franklin,
again.
We were the most successful country in the world at the time.
We all
for
wish
100
it was
years,
just like the 1800s.
For 100 years, we were the most successful country in the world.
We were also
without an income tax.
Okay. John, you live in a fantasy.
No, I live in the history of we were the most successful country in the world.
What does that mean, John?
It means we were the fastest growing economy, the most successful country in the world, and we became the leader of the free world during the 1800s when an income tax was unconstitutional until your progressives
became the leader of the free world in the 1800s.
Yes, we did, Franklin.
You know, the Democratic Party, you were trying to refer back to JFK days or something like JFK would be thought of
Harry
as a
Truman would be rolling in his grave.
they would be
Yes,
looked at as a
Ronald
Republican.
Reagan would be rolling in his grave right now at what you guys are doing.
Hey, Franklin, I'm going to say is we got to take.
You would be running him out of the party with pitchforks behind him.
We've got to take a break, and I want to say this right before we break. The Democratic Party's been hijacked by the left, the liberals. Let's take a break.
You're listening to Backfire with Steve Hickson. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, I'm the doctor.
And you're listening to WOOPLP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Check into cash. The cash you need today is waiting for you at Check Into Cash. It's your money, so come in and get it.
Get a payday advance today for up to $425. At Check Into Cash, we make it quick, easy, and confidential.
The cash you need is right here, so stop worrying and stop in to Check Into Cash today.
Borrowers often use payday advances over a period of months, which can be expensive. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Ladies, let's face it, you're probably not going to get what you want for Valentine's Day. Heck, you may not get anything. So ladies, maybe it's time to take matters into your own hands.
This year, get yourself fine jewelry for $5. Yes, $5. The design